Hi, it's your girl Curly Jamaican here with yet another video for you. Another live, I'm sorry, for you. Um, so it's Sunday and clearly and I'm in my backyard, so you guys might hear some kids singing and dogs barking, but it's so comfortable out here. I really like making my lives out here. So today I wanted to talk about Candace Owens. Um, I wanted to talk about Candace Owens, not to bash her or, call her out for being a devil or anything like that. She's a staunch Republican, and so of course her talking points are going to be for uh Republicans. And so I can't really bash someone for trying to get votes for their party. Democrats do it all the time, and they have their talking points. So that part of it is whatever. But I wanted to address how she presents the stats when it comes to police killings and police brutality. I wanted to address that because I think she's doing everyone a disservice when she puts out numbers without context to actually back her talking points, to support her talking points. I think she does everyone a disservice. And then people will pick up on that portion of what she says and run with it and think, hey, there isn't a problem. And, as always, Black people are making a big deal out of nothing. And I think that this is just the wrong approach for her to take. Um, so, I went and I looked up some stats myself. And I actually found that for this year, about 370, let me get that right. I have it written down. But for this year, and this you guys can go to statista.com and verify this for yourself. But for this year, the number of Black people killed so far, and it's June, it's just half the year, is 88, and the number of white people killed so far is 172. But when the numbers are so close for a demographic that is, between two demographics, one being small and one being larger, that is alarming. It is alarming. I also found that last year, um, Blacks actually died. The number of Blacks that died were 235, and for whites, it was 370. But the part that, she doesn't really talk about, and I guess she probably won't say this because, it's not going to look really good for Trump. And that's why I don't ever want to be so affiliated with a party that I can't really analyze the numbers, analyze the numbers objectively. So I think that the part that she has left out is, hey, there was an increase last year. Since 2017, there was an increase last year of the number of Black people killed by police officers, and there was a decrease last year in the number of white people killed by officers. So not only are we talking about the rate being higher, but for Blacks, but it is increasing, and that's something that she's not bringing up, right? She's not comprehensively analyzing the numbers, and that's not good. She's throwing out the numbers to say this is not a problem. And to me, in addition to doing that, you can throw out the numbers. According to, they say numbers don't lie. Fine, numbers are factual. You can't really, numbers have no opinion. But when you say, oh, only a certain amount of people died and that's not a problem, that is using your biases to influence what people think about the numbers, right? Now, my take on that is you shouldn't really want this to be happening at all in society. You shouldn't want it to be in the hundreds, A, and you shouldn't want it happening at all. And I know that's not possible, but you want this to be happening minimally, not in the hundreds, and it's pretty serious If it's in the hundreds, it is a problem. It is a problem, right? And then you kind of even deflect from white people thinking it's a problem because you're telling them also that the number of people killed by police, a number of Caucasians killed by police, is also a small number, but it's really not. It's really not a small number, right? So I wanted to just not bash her, but I wanted to bring some context to some of the numbers that she's throwing out there. Um, I don't hate Candace Owens. A lot of people they hate her. I don't hate Candace Owens. I think that she's doing what staunch Democrats do, what staunch anybody do. She's backing her president, and he is our president, and she's backing him. Now, there are some things that she says that I do agree with. One main thing that she says that I agree with is the fact that Democrats, they will use the injustices of Black people to get votes. And it's not that they necessarily care, it's just that they're pandering and they're trying to, they're playing identity politics. So I agree with that. I completely agree with that. And I think that when Democrats play identity politics and then we vote for them and nothing is done, which we know nothing has been done because here we are in 2020 and in 2019 there was an increase in police shootings for Blacks, and the year just we were halfway through the year and already 88 Blacks have died and 170 something whites have died. So they haven't really done anything to address the issue. They haven't put any laws in place, and neither has the Republicans. But the Republicans, they're kind of sabotaging themselves by acting like police brutality is not a problem because no, they're not expecting their government to expecting their representative to do anything about it because it's not a problem in their eyes. So I think that you know her bringing up the numbers to say it's a small amount or a small number and it's not really a problem, I think she is definitely doing a disservice. So that's really what I have to say about Candace Owens. You know, I think that she's kind of she at that point she loses a lot of people, mainly Democrats. Democrats hate her with a passion. She loses a lot of people at that point, and I think she should just stop doing that altogether. I think, and this is my opinion. Candace, of course, is on her own tangent. She probably wouldn't listen to a person like me, but I just think she should stop doing that. It's aggravating to a lot of people. It's really insensitive, and I know that she's not the emotional type, but especially at a time when someone has just died, why say something that will cause even more outrage? Why say something that will trigger people at the worst time possible? So, that's just what I have to say about her. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is in terms of the stats, the numbers, is that between 2005 and 2017, 1,000 police shootings took place, and 35% of that 1,000 were convicted. 35%. That's a problem. That is a problem. The rest the cases are either pending or they are not convicted. How is this not a problem? And how is it that we're going to get officers to think about consequences and repercussions when only a small amount of them get convicted when they actually kill people? How are we going to even get them to improve by accepting the situation as it is right now? I don't know. I don't know how we're going to get any improvement. And I think that both the Democrats and the Republicans should be on board with trying to improve the law enforcement, trying to improve law enforcement. I don't see why there should be a division where that is concerned, or bipartisan reaction where that is concerned. I don't get that. And then, you know, two things that really bug me is that when they don't get convicted, they get to go on to live normal lives. They can get rehired by the police department. You know, Betty Shelvin, her name, Betty Shelvin, the cop that killed that man on the highway. She she's actually out there like teaching other police officers how to survive situations like these. And it's like they literally get to go on and move on with no repercussions, nothing whatsoever. And we have people like Candace Owens saying it's not a problem. It's not a problem. Hi, Ams the Great. Hey, how are you? I'm outside, so pardon the dogs barking. It's teeming with wildlife and life right now, my backyard. But yeah. So I think that Candace Owens definitely should try not to present present her opinion in a way where we're thinking that there is no problem and nothing needs to be improved. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about the independent party. Now, I'm not going to lie. When this week started, I was an angry person in the middle, cursing out the Republicans, cursing out the Democrats, because I just feel like both of them are failures when it comes to this situation. So I was really angry, and I even threw out that you guys have multiple options to vote for. You can vote for the independent party, but you choose to pick, cancer. You choose to pick lung cancer over brain cancer every single time, and expect some type of change, or expect the country to be ran differently, when that's not going to happen if you keep picking these same parties, right? That, or force them to work for you, right? But someone pointed out that Joe Jorgenson, and pardon me if I'm not saying her name correctly, but someone pointed out that she is actually running for president too. And I decided to go on her page, see what she was about, see if she was serious. Honestly, I don't get the impression that she is. And I'm wondering why the independent party, they don't campaign as much as these other parties. I see them asking for donations. I see them asking for people to help push their campaign, but I don't I went on the page and I'm like, I like her ideas. Everything else was just so lackluster. And I think that the independent party, they should really try and put themselves in the limelight just a little, some more. Now, I don't know if a day will ever come where they will win, but just kind of being obscure the way they are, and just being, a, a representative for a third party is really not enough. I think that they really should be traveling to different states if they're not already, and just they need to be making more noise. They need to be making more noise. Now, I have a list of things that she was saying that she wanted to address by the time, if she should ever become president, which it's not going to happen. We all know this is not going to happen now. But I'm kind of trying to get people to think about the independent party a little bit more seriously now. The Libertarian Party, I'm trying to get people to think about them just a little bit seriously now. So maybe in 2024, there's probably a chance. So one thing that I found interesting on her page that she said was how she wanted to pull troops from different outposts, in different countries. Let me see right here. Give me a second. I want to get my wording right. But I thought that was pretty neat. We could save tax dollars. Her thing is less government and less spending. That's her slogan, right? And they all say that. They all say that, which is true. But her ideas are. Let's find it right here. Give me a second, guys. I printed it out just for this. Oh, it's not on this, but pretty much, she was saying that she would pull the troops from different bases, international bases, and that would help to save money. That would help to save money, and bolster our economy. And honestly, I definitely agree with that. She said she would make America a New Zealand type of country, armed but not spread out all over the country, right? And I think, honestly, to improve international relations, and to save money, so we can have enough money to do other things within our economy. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. So, that's something to think about. Another thing she was saying was this whole, of course, with the coronavirus, everyone is concerned about the healthcare. Everyone is concerned about the vaccines, the companies pushing the vaccines. I, for one, am very, very concerned about that. And I just don't understand why we have like a limited amount of companies pushing their vaccines. And it's like we can't consider any other options. And if you watch some of my videos, you'll see that I'm all about options when it comes to these treatments and these vaccines. I'm all about that because I feel like you're getting ready to. Oh my gosh, it is so busy today. You guys hear the ice cream truck? I feel like yeah, I feel like it makes it so easy for these special interest groups to push an agenda when we limit companies that make certain vaccines and certain treatments available. I chose the wrong time to do a live, guys. Anyway, but so yeah, so her thing was, we had about 60 American companies making testing kits, and the FDA only approved 2. Um, what the president should have done was use the Emergency Powers Act and say, FDA, you only have to prove safety, not efficacy. Get these kits out there. And that, oh my goodness, and that is so true. That is so true. You know, now the hydro, and hopefully I'm saying this right? The hydrochloroquine drug, that they use to treat lupus, it got such a bad rap. It got such a bad rap. And I know it got such a bad rap because Trump was the one pushing it. But this is something that lupus patients take. Lupus patients, they have an autoimmune immunodeficiency disease, and that is what they take. But somehow the media got involved saying that the drug was dangerous, because of some kind of sordid story about a woman using it to kill her husband or whatever. And then the FDA came on board and said that they're not approving it for the treatment of the COVID-19. And then it made it to where it was kind of impossible to get treatment for it if you wanted it, to get the treatment, if you do end up in the hospitals and want that treatment. And I was thinking, okay, why? Why? And that's because when you have special interest groups, and when healthcare is political, these are the things that happen. It becomes less about the people's health, less about availability, less about options, and more about using propaganda to destroy a person's reputation, pretty much. So I was completely, when I saw this, I was like, yeah, I agree with that, and I thought that was really a good talking point. And so the more I read about her ideas, is the more I was thinking, why is it that we've never really given this party a second thought? Why? And I'm to the point where, honestly, I want to rally up some people in the middle section, that section where we're just looking at the extreme left and the extreme right, and we're so disgusted by them both. I really want to round us all up and say, hey, you probably should vote for the Libertarian Party. But not only that, clearly 2020 is kind of too late to be pushing George or Joe Jorgensen, but we need to actually just be pushing the information out there about the ideas to get other people on board. Because believe it or not, a lot of people are at this point voting for Democrats simply because they believe that Trump is the worst. Simply because of that. It doesn't even matter what ideas the Democrats could come out and say, hey, we want to drop a bomb. We want to drop a bomb on China right now, and the people will still vote for them simply because they hate Trump so much. Simply because of that. So a lot of people are not voting for Democrats because they even like Biden. They're voting for Democrats because they hate Trump. And we need to get out of this mindset where you're voting for someone not because of the policies that they can bring to the table, and not because of change that they can bring to the table, simply because we don't like the representative of a certain party. We need to get out of that mindset, because that's what's killing us. And when I say killing, I mean metaphorically. That is what is causing us to continuously be frustrated with government. And honestly, even if the Libertarian Party does not win in 2024, if a good amount of us just up and voted for the Libertarian Party to show that, hey, we don't have to vote for the Republicans. We don't have to vote for the Democrats. We don't have to do this, and give them a good scare so they get the act together. Then it can be business as usual after that. I would be happy with that too. But I do want the Libertarian Party to make more noise. I want them to make more noise, put out more ads. I don't know, I guess they're in need of donations. I don't know. But I'm on board with them. At this point, I'm so disgusted with both the parties. I mean, like, even with Trump, I don't hate him, but it's like every time I turn around and I try to think of a reason to say, well, he's just this and he's just that, and I end up finding myself having to try and defend. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. It's not my job to defend any government. That's not my job. That's not my job. Trump needs to get his he needs to get his diplomatic relations together. He needs to get his diplomatic approach together. He needs to be strategic with his words. He really does. Because you literally have racist people in the Democratic Party, but because they are covert with it. Black people and people of color are willing to overlook these slights just because of Trump and his uncensored words, his uncensored speeches, and his and I'm not pushing censorship. I'm just saying he just needs to kind of reel in this outspokenness to some extent. He needs to reel it in and be strategic, and yes, a little bit political with some of the things that he says. I mean, how do you even defend what he said, what he tweeted out when he said, he's going to when he threatened to deploy the National Guards to handle the thugs? I mean, how do you even defend that? there are protesters out there, there are writers out there, there are looters out there, and there are hijackers out there. There's a mix of people out there. He just generally labeled it as thugs. How do you defend that? I'm not gonna, I'm not going to defend that to anyone. That is upsetting. I'm not upset by it, but it is upsetting. I can see why people are growing more and more. They're developing more and more animosity towards him. Who is his PR person? And a lot of people are like, he represents freedom of speech. Yes, he represents freedom of speech, but he also represents freedom of speech with consequences. And the consequences, if you have a whole bunch of people ready to vote in Biden because they hate him. You haven't done anything to really have people jump on board. New people anyway. Maybe the same old people will support him, but you haven't done anything to convince people from the other side that the Republicans are better for the economy and better for the country. So I'm over it. I don't have any real criticisms for Trump except the way he except the way that he addresses the nation and his international relation skills, all of that. That's my real criticism for him. I don't have any real criticism for that man. Because a lot of the fact that people are bringing up that he's racist, if you don't even understand what a moot point that is, when you're looking at the fact that there's so many hidden and overt racists in the Democratic Party. So I'm just disgusted with both sides. So I just came on here to kind of highlight that the Libertarian Party, they have some things that they want to bring to the table too. Now, the thing about politics is, they make promises and sometimes empty promises to get the votes. And like I said, it doesn't even seem I am not necessarily taking her seriously because I don't see where there is a concerted effort to get voters on board. And even in her own, she kind of shot herself in her foot when she said, okay, I won't delude myself. A libertarian is unlikely to become president. Things like this is like, you're killing yourself, you know? But I wanted people to just think about them. Think about them for 2024. I know it's a bit too late now, but for 2024, think about them, kind of try to pick their brains, see what they have to offer. And if you're as busted and as tired as I am, try considering them at least, to even as a scare tactic to the Republicans and the Democrats. Like, my vote is not guaranteed for you. My vote isn't guaranteed for you. And just because our options are limited doesn't mean I have to vote for you. Right? If voting is the only way we can send a message and affect change, if voting is the only way, then folks, you have to be strategic with your votes. You have to be strategic with your votes. So another thing that's grinding my gears today is do not equate voting necessarily with change, because you can vote and ushering the most destruction on yourself, on your people, and on your country. You can do that. And people think that it was a lack of voting that caused President Trump to win the last elections, but it wasn't a lack of voting. It was middle America and a lot of the people in these forgotten places that thought that Trump was for them, that said, you know what, it's high time I got out and vote. And guess what? Now that, I mean, majority of the country are politically awake, oh my gosh, we're going to see on both sides, we're going to see, I know, a record number of people voting, a record number for this year. We're going to see that. But don't think that it was a lack of people voting that made President Trump win. It was because people voted, but it wasn't people from your party. Democrats, they voted for their people, but the Republicans in Middle America, they came out and they voted too. So understand that you're going up against voters are going up against voters, pretty much. Anyway, so I just wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on that. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next live or the next video. Thank you. Bye.